The investigation in the National Service ghost names scandal has also progressed well. Other matters such as National Cathedral, mathematical sex, senior high school Wi-Fi are also nearing completion, and dockets are being prepared for prosecutions to begin. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, as your Attorney General, I wish to assure you that I have sufficient reserves of integrity. Now, the investigation in the National Service ghost names scandal has also progressed well. Other matters such as National Cathedral, mathematical sex, senior high school Wi-Fi are also nearing completion, and dockets are being prepared for prosecutions to begin. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, as your Attorney General, I wish to assure you that I have sufficient reserves of integrity.
Well, so that's Dr. Dominic Ayine there, and Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner, and we bring him in here because he was part of the Operation Recover All Loot oral preparatory team. And this National Cathedral project was captured in there as one of the various demands that the persons who submitted petitions to them want the $58 million recovered by oral or by government. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. You've seen a copy of the statement from this National Cathedral Board of Trustees. They say that this land was a gift by the state for the cathedral, and they want, in their view, the cathedral to be built there and nothing else. I mean, do they, from where you sit, have that moral authority or the locus to make this demand?
No, so the first part of your question about whether there's a moral right. No, I don't agree that there's a moral right. I don't agree because, Ghanaians largely fought against the site of the National Cathedral and the costs involved because it came at a time when the economic situation wasn't any that good. You remember, of course, it started before 2022, but since 2022, we've been suffering, cost of living skyrocketed, etc. Inflation hit 54% and all that. Unemployment is high and all that. So the National Cathedral appeared as a nuisance. Yes, I say so because I'm just reflecting the sentiments of the people. This has nothing to do with religion. We are doing the analysis of our economic well-being. So we'll not just, fasten ourselves onto religious arguments. We are looking at our reality. Citizens were saying, look, we are hungry, we don't have jobs, etc. So this is not a priority. And if anything at all, you could consider taking it to Pram area. I mean, like outside Accra, etc. Yes, I also know others were saying that the Bible says we will always have the poor with us. But that's not an excuse for us to continue to spend state resources, use state resources in a manner that is not optimum, or in loose vernacular, in a manner that is wasteful, that is oga chopping the money nyafu. Yes, we can't say that because Bible says we always have the poor with us, we can allow the executive, especially the president, to spend our money anyhow. No, that's not good enough, right? Yes, so if you look at it, it was ill-timed and then ill-located and ill-costed. You see, so all the ills, ill-timed, ill-located, ill-costed, etc. So for the Cathedral Board to come out and challenge the president in this manner, it actually shows a certain inadequate appreciation of the situation that the state finds itself in. Those problems are still critical. The fact that cost of living is high, unemployment is high, etc. Those problems are still with us. So I would have thought that the best thing the Cathedral Board should have done was to seek a private audience with the president. You see it? That would have been better But I mean, of course, if eventually everything failed, diplomacy with through back channel communication failed, then we can understand. But if the president announced what he intends to do and then the cathedral board also fires back, then what do you expect? It means the president will also fire. Then citizens will say more fire, more fire. And then what would happen? You say, so I really think that this statement by the cathedral board is a bit rushed because they shouldn't forget that citizens have complained about it in the oral to the oral committee, the stage 1 of which I was a part. The National Cathedral project featured prominently. Citizens were upset. There were multiple persons who complained about it. You said you remember how even Parliament called the then Finance Minister Oforiatta to Parliament to explain, and he then finally said they used the contingency vote as voting at an election. That's the money meant for contingency for a capital project like this. And you know, all of our citizens and our representatives, the parliamentarians, are like, we're not happy. And you know, eventually, yes, it was part of the censure that Oforiatta was taken into, and the record is there. So the cathedral board should have looked at all of this, and then also the fact that there are investigations ongoing about causing financial loss to the state in respect of that same National Cathedral project. So the National Cathedral project at this time doesn't need and really has to stay away from adverse publicity. Yes, my key word here is adverse publicity. It's not good for the National Cathedral project. So the board members are advised to talk to the president behind the scenes, because let's not forget, the investigations have not been concluded. I see in their statement, they are talking about an audit by Deloitte and Touche, etc. But that one doesn't replace the investigations that the criminal investigations citizens have called for. The criminal investigations citizens have called for is something that will be gone through, something that will be seen through to the end. So the board of the National Cathedral should not create the impression that if Deloitte and Touche does any audit, then that is kosher. That is sufficient to wipe out the allegations of criminality, etc. Don't forget, there are issues of procurement. You know, this same matter went to Shraj, and Shraj ruled that there were breaches of the Procurement Act, right, Mr. Okansi?
Yeah, yes,
right,
indeed.
so held that there were breaches of the Procurement Act. And you know what breaches of the Procurement Act is? The Procurement Act, if you breach same, is a crime. And those are offenses that the special prosecutor has a mandate to prosecute, etc. So that is what I was saying. We haven't seen the last of the National Cathedral, but to be candid with you, the statement by the board was too rushed.
Right, but then again, you describe this statement as too rushed. Already, we've heard from the Attorney General briefly on this, that investigations into the National Cathedral are ongoing. As to when prosecution will start, we have no idea. We do know that the special prosecutor is also seeking the former finance minister, Kenneth Oforiatta, to come answer questions about the expenditure on this National Cathedral. As I showed to you, it's actually beyond the $58 million, as far as we do know, if you add the resettlement of these judges, and then also the building of the new passport office, the scholarship secretariat, these private companies that had their company buildings also located on this land. All of that had not been quantified as yet. So we don't know the full scale of the cost of this entire project as we speak. Should we be seeing some questions answered by some persons beyond the finance minister as we speak?
Oh, absolutely. That goes to that question. Yes, people will be answering. Yes, the board, but it doesn't stop with the board. The board were doing the bidding of ex-President Akuffo. He said he had a covenant with God. His personal mission to fulfill a promise that he personally made to God, that a cathedral will be built to the glory of God, and yet he was using state resources when he should have raised funds privately. So I'm expecting that apart from the board members, Akuffo, Oforiata, etc., should be answering questions, yes, for the use of $58 million. That's even apart from the value of the land. Etc., is also very colossal. I'm looking at the $58 million that was pumped into that cathedral hole.
Yeah.
So Akuffo and Co should be answering questions.
I see, but then also what we do know from the Attorney General so far is that brief statement he made in that press conference, one of the 3 or 4 press conferences that he has had, updating the nation on these cases, on the oral investigations and some other cases as well that has been brought to their attention. I mean, would you expect at least a lot more detail in the next press conference by the Attorney General on this National Cathedral project?
I believe based on the press conferences the AG has held so far, if he's ready, he will come out. Yes, so far he's made it clear that, look, he would do press conferences, which we welcome, so that he would always keep the public informed and to carry us along. Whole of government approach, government policies, etc., should carry the citizens along. Yes, you don't make much progress if a government is doing it all alone and not involving the citizens and carrying citizens along, right? So I believe Dr. Ayine would come out in due course. I don't think he needs to be reminded. He himself, he knows that he has a charge to keep, and I'm sure he would want to go down as Ghana's best Attorney General ever. So he would waste no time in informing the public when he's ready.
Right. Now, do appreciate you for this. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner, a member of the Operation Recover All Loot preparatory team. They've wrapped up their work, submitted their report to the president. The Attorney General is implementing, in fact, taking action on the prosecution, investigation, and then prosecution of some of the cases captured in the oral report, as was submitted by the team that lawyer Martin Kpebu was part of. And the National Cathedral, we understand, was in there as well. We'll keep an eye on how things play out here on Ghana Tonight.